I read 11 books in the month of August. Let's annotate and review them all. I pretty much read everything on my Kindle this month, so I need to transfer my annotations from the Kindle to my books. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Talk about satire. I highlighted on page 2. I was getting down to business. Yellow for Yellowface? Yeah. Honestly, y'all, I was just flabbergasted by the audacity of it all. I just could not believe our FMC in this book. She was just truly diabolical. I'm sorry, I know that word is used up, but that is exactly what she was. I really only highlighted things that I was just shooketh by and that gave me the ick, because the entire book gave me the ick, but in a good way, I guess. If that makes sense. People really be hanging out with people that they truly can't stand, they despise. They feel like they need to attach themselves to that person because that person has something that they want. And that's the story of Juniper. That's all I can say. If I expose it to the world before it's fully formed, it dies. Yeah, I feel like once you release it out there, you better act on it, because either someone gonna take it or it dies. Like, you get what I'm saying? Y'all, Juniper is just so unhinged. It's one of them stories you just won't be able to put down because you just want to see where this train wreck is going. I literally finished this one in one day because I was just so intrigued as to where this was going. I knew it wasn't going where she wanted it to go, but I just had to see for myself. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This book was perfect. Perfect. Chef's kiss. However you want to name it, it was perfect. The world building, the character development, the pacing. I feel like everything just balanced so well. She was literally able to create a world that was so vivid. I saw every scene in my head. It was like reading a freaking movie, and I had a great time. I did watch the movie as well. If you want to see my reactions while I read and watch, check out my previous video. I can honestly say the book was better. Y'all, I despise Effie. I think that's how you say her name. She was just insane. Did this book get wet or something? Come on, Amazon. It's just so crazy how the people in the districts don't even get treated like humans. Like, Kat had never had a shower before. The Legendary MTO by A.Y. Chan. This is the first middle grade book that I've read this year, and it's definitely not going to be my last. I want to start reading more books that I can recommend to my daughter, and I also thought it would be so cute to annotate the books and give them to my daughter when she's of age to read them, so she could see what mommy highlighted for her. This book is action packed, but it's also like a confidence booster. I love how it has these affirmations from the female main character throughout the book. Like, she's fierce, she's strong. I just love that we got to watch her develop into this fearless young lady. And those are the things I really want to instill into my daughter. I want her to know that she can do anything if she puts her mind to it. Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This book had me stressed, is all I can say. Now, the writing was beautiful. Like, I highlighted so many things in this book, but the toxicity between the two main characters, stressed. Honestly, it's just really hard to root for them because it's just so toxic. Like, it's just clear as day that they don't need to be together. But everyone's telling me to continue on with the series. Is it going to get better? Am I going to be rooting for them? Because right now, I feel like it's best for both of them to separate. This is unhealthy. This is unhealthy. I'm just not going to pretend that it's not. Miss Wiggins by Mary Monroe. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it was a good time. It was an unhinged good time. Y'all, the drama literally starts on page 1, and it don't stop until you get to the end of the book. Miss Wiggins just wanted a good life. She just wanted to have her family and live the rest of her days in peace. But life just don't work out that way. There are moments in this book where I was literally laughing out loud, like uncontrollably laughing, because the characters are so funny. But at the same time, I was screaming because I could not believe the plot twist that came about. Ooh, blue and yellow. That's going to be pretty. Next, I read Anywhere You Run by Wanda Morris. Now, this was marketed as a thriller, but it was definitely given more mystery murder. Don't get me wrong, it was a good story, but I was just expecting it to be a little bit more thrilling. And I did enjoy following the journeys of the two sisters, Violet and Marigold. I just wanted the best for them. I was praying for the best for them because they had a rough, crazy life. And then I read on Kindle All the Ugly and Wonderful Things. And I'm just trying to figure out what were the wonderful things. That book really taught me that I need to start reading the synopsis. It was not for me. It was not a book that I would pick up and enjoy reading. But I did end up reading the entire book. It's one of those books where it wants to provoke thought. It tests your morals on certain taboo topics. It's not a topic that I can be swayed on. So with that being said, I'm not gonna go any further on it, but it's not a book that I would recommend. One True Love by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Nobody told me nothing. This book slapped me in the face within the first 10 pages of the book. The plot was insane. Whew, the emotional journey. Y'all, I literally annotated the first line of this book. I was on the other side of 30 before I knew it. Relatable. The way Taylor was able to describe grief was just so beautiful. Like, she explained it perfectly. If I could literally just take the words off the page and stick it in my heart, because that's literally how good she described it. I love the structure of the story as well. I love how we got to see both stories. Because, girl, you had some explaining to do. How does this happen? I really don't know what I would have did in this situation. But I will say I feel like she made the right choice, and that was my choice in the beginning. It was the most practical choice, and we were just going to have to work it out. Or it could have been a why choose situation. But my boy Jesse, he definitely was not going for that. How do we have chapters here but no chapters in the actual book? I want to address the elephant in the room. I did watch the movie, and it was marketed as a comedy. But to me, this book gave everything but comedy. This was a heart wrenching, emotional roller coaster type of story. And I feel like they changed the movie into more of a Hallmark Christmas special edition type of story. You get what I'm saying? Like, everything felt light. This book was not giving light. This book gave heavy. The movie wasn't bad. It was cute, but I wish they would have stayed closer to what the actual story gave, if that makes sense. And I pretty much clocked out when this part happened. So another book that I read on the Kindle was The Perfect Sister by Desiree. This was the first read I read by this author, and it did not disappoint. This was such a unique plot. Like, I enjoyed this book so much. It was fast paced, it was thrilling, and I literally just downloaded it on a whim because the cover of this book was so pretty. Like, I just was intrigued. I had to know what it was about. But, child, I had no idea. The plot was plotting, and I had planned on reading book two this month as well, but I didn't get to it. I ran out of time, but I am going to be trying to get to it this month because the way book one ended, no ma'am. I gotta know what happens next. The next book I read was Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and the nostalgia was real with this book. This was one of the books I was required to read in high school, and it just never left my spirit. I think about this book often, and I really wanted to reread it, so now seemed like the perfect time. I'm so happy that I read it again because I was able to fully comprehend the story, the meaning of the story, and I truly, truly enjoy reading it just as much as I did back then when I was in high school. I don't think I'm going to be able to annotate this one today because this doesn't have the page numbers, and this is a hefty book. If you're looking to get into more classic reads, I feel like Great Expectations is a good place to start. It is very wordy because it's coming from the POV of an English gentleman. I just feel like they were trying to use as many words in their vocabulary that they could back then, but behind all of that, the story is a good story. So I highly recommend. My last read of the month, but certainly not my least, Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy. This book was so much fun. It was action packed. And when I think of an action packed book, I'm thinking every page is we fighting for our lives. And that's what this was giving. From the beginning to the end, that's what this book was giving. Wow. Zelly, she was a gangster. I truly enjoyed her character. If this book has been on your TBR like it's been on mine, go ahead and pick it up. You're not going to be disappointed. This book is good. Do you hear me? I need my book friends to join this adventure with me. My only complaint is that ending, because now I feel like I got to go and pick up book 2 and read it immediately, even though I got all of these books on my TBR that I got to get to. So I guess it's a good problem to have. I'm trying not to fall into a slump, and I'm trying to keep my momentum going into September because I just had a really good August reading 11 books and I want to keep it going in September. I'm just going to continue to read for enjoyment and not put too much pressure on myself. With that being said, let's talk about my September TBR. I only have 3 physical books here right now. I'm either going to order the rest or I'm going to read them on Kindle, so whichever is available. Moth to a Flame by Ashley Antoinette, Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I'm finally getting to read a book by S.A. Cosby. I have a lot of his books now and I'm ready to start this journey. The Push by Ashley Audrain. I heard a lot about this book. I heard it's disturbing. I heard that it's mind-boggling. I heard I'm going to be flabbergasted. And I'm really just trying to get into it and see what the tea is about. So I'm also reading 2 new releases. I'm reading Dry Cry by Joanna Kimber. Listen, I heard this is about a black billionaire love story. Sign me up. And the next new release I'm reading is Immortal Dark by Tyges Germer. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name. I pre-ordered her book back in January. She sold it to me when she said Black Vampires and Dark Academia. Yes, ma'am. Her book releases tomorrow, so I should be receiving that from Amazon soon. I am so excited. I've heard great things. And I absolutely have to get to the next book in the Hunger Games series this month. I will be reading and watching Catching Fire. I cannot wait. And lastly, I want to try to squeeze in When the Moon Hatched by Sarah Parker because my book friend Helen has been raving about this book all August and I just have to see what the tea is. I also heard this book has dragons and you don't have to sell me anymore. Dragons was all I needed. Sign me up. Oh my goodness, y'all. So that completes my August wrap up and my September TBR. I will be checking in throughout the month to give you guys my reviews, my reactions, my thoughts. Make sure you're following me on my other platforms because I post almost daily on my other platforms, so you'll be able to get those reactions and those reviews a little sooner over there. Give me a comment below if you've read or if you plan to read any of the books I talked about in this video, and make sure you like and subscribe. Bye guys.